I need to say something that is going to make some of you very uncomfortable. And just stay with me here. I'm fixing my sound because I changed it for. I changed it. I changed my sound. Okay, we're good. I need you guys to stay with me instead of clicking away because this is the episode. This episode today is going to change the trajectory if you let it. The life that you have right now, the job, the relationships, the finances, the body, the level of impact, the version of the calling that you're living in right now, you built that. Not entirely, not without the influence of circumstance and systems and the things that happened to you that you didn't choose, but more than you've been willing to admit. You built it with the decisions you made and the ones you did not make. You built the life you have right now with the risks you took and the ones you did not take, with the standards you held and the ones you let slide. You built this with the voice you used and also the one you kept quiet. And I'm not saying that to shame you. I'm saying it because I've been there. I'm saying it because the same person who built the current version has everything you need. You have everything you need to build the next version, but not while you're giving the blueprint to everything outside of yourself. Because here's the truth that the blame keeps you from. As long as the job is the problem, you cannot fix it. You can only leave it. As long as the economy is the reason, you are stuck with the economy changes, which, let's be honest, it's not a timeline you want to bet your calling on. As long as the childhood is the explanation, right? You're waiting for something that already ended, it's over, and you're waiting for it to unhappen, which is impossible. And as long as someone else holds all the responsibility for where you are, you've given someone else the controls of your life. And they're not using them the way you would. I want you to take the controls back to your life today. That's what this episode's going to be about. Hey, you guys, welcome to Listen Bitch Podcast. I am Brandon Lynette, the Voice Authority Podcast Coach, and your message. Today I'm coming in hot because I love you enough to say the shit that is not going to feel like love in the moment. Yeah, it's going to piss you off. Bitch, you chose this life. You're choosing what you're not changing. You're choosing. You have been the main character in a story where everything happens to you. You're a victim. And I need you to become the main character in a story where you happen to everything. That shift from passenger to driver, from victim to owner is the single most powerful thing that can happen in a person's life right now. And it does not require different circumstances. It does not require a better economy or a more supportive family. It doesn't even require a past that looks different. God will use you exactly where you are. It just requires a decision, a very specific, today you decide you're not waiting around anymore kind of decision to take full responsibility, massive responsibility for where you are, and take full authority over where you're going. You get to choose. Today is brought to you by Super Patch. Super Patch. And I have to get it. I have to get it. I have to get it to kick it today, because ownership sometimes means kicking the habits that have been keeping you controllable in the wrong place. The scrolling instead of creating, the consuming instead of building, the numbing instead of feeling. Kick It is designed to help overcome bad habits and fight cravings. You want to know how I'm not a sugar addict anymore? It's this little thing right here, a little sticker. Um, this is like the physical version of the work that we're going to do mentally today. And you guys know this is drug free, zero ingredients, FU Big Pharma, vibrotactile technology that supports the decision to do the hard shit. Okay. So you guys can find this link in the show notes. Kick it. Um, this is what blame is doing to your brain. And I'm not criticizing you. I just want you to see this as a mechanism, because the mechanism is the thing that you can actually change. Okay. When you assign responsibility for your situation to something outside of yourself, the brain files the problem under not mine to solve. That's the file. And so your brain, which is an extraordinarily efficient problem solving machine, it does not allocate resources to problems that get filed under not mine to solve. It allocates resources to problems it has been told are yours. The external attribution literally turns off the problem solving circuitry for that particular issue. So every single time you locate the reason for where you are in the economy, for the boss you have, the partner, the childhood, the algorithm, whatever you're blaming, maybe it's the timing, you're telling your brain this is not your problem to solve. And your brain, because it's very obedient, it stops trying to solve the problem. And you stay exactly where you are. Not because you're not capable, because you handed the file to someone who is not in the room. You gave away your power. And there's a neuroscience term for what shifts when you take ownership, okay? It's called the internal locus of control. And the research on this is not a little subtle issue. Deep dive. People who operate from an internal locus of control, who believe their outcomes are they're primarily determined by their own choices and actions, consistently outperform people with an external locus of control across almost every metric that even fucking matters. Health, income, relationships, career, well-being, not because life is fair and effort always produces the desired result. It's because the internal locus keeps the problem-solving circuitry engaged. When you take responsibility, your brain's like, fuck yeah, bitch, that's how we solve this. It keeps your brain looking for the next move. And the brain that's looking for the move finds more moves than the brain that's been told the move belongs to someone else, not my problem, done. And neuroplasticity here means you can shift the locus, and it's not instant, okay? This isn't a quick dopamine hit on a doom scroll for TikTok. This is a deeply grooved pattern for most people. And guess what? Grooves take time to redirect. But every time you catch yourself, attributing a problem to something external and instead ask, what can I do about this? That's how you build the internal pathway. Every time you replace the explanation with the question, the brain updates, the ownership becomes more automatic. The problem solving stays on, and the life that gets built from that orientation, unrecognizable from the one built from blame. And these excuses, you guys, I mean, y'all, if you know me and you know me, you've been with me for a long time, 3 years. Your excuses are invalid as fuck. And we can even list them. You know, economy. Yes. Is it harder than it was? Maybe. Systems are rigged. Systems are rigged in ways that are real and documented and genuinely unfair. And also, people are building extraordinary things in the economy right now. So is that an excuse? Today, with the same interest rates and the same inflation and the same broken systems that you're pointing at and saying, this isn't working for me, the economy is a constraint. It's not the ceiling. The ceiling is a decision about what to do with the constraint. The timing is your excuse because it's never the right time. I need you to fully absorb that sentence. There is not a version of the future where the conditions are finally aligned the way you need them to be for you to start. Kids grow up, and then there are other things. The market shifts, and then there are new variables. The season changes, and there's a new reason. The timing that feels like the obstacle is the thing the fear is using as its spokesperson, okay? The timing is always now. The only timing that has ever been available is right now. The past, what happened to you was real. I get that. The impact was real. The way it shaped the neural architecture is documented and legitimate, and we've talked about it thoroughly through this whole fucking season. And also, and I say this with full compassion for everything the past cost you, it's fucking over. It's over. The chapter ended. You can't change it. You can't go back. You can't erase it. No redos. And now you are writing a new chapter with old ink from a chapter that's closed. That's not healing. You're just carrying your shit from one chapter to the next. It's the most boring fucking book anybody's ever going to read. I'm sure you're tired of writing it. Carrying isn't going to build shit. It's just exhausting you. It's exhausting you. Don't cry about the people who did not show up for you. The mentor who dropped the ball. The parent who wasn't there. the community that let you down, the partner who didn't come through. It's real. All of it's real. And also, none of them are going to come back and undo it. None of them are going to show up now and make it right in the way that would fully resolve the impact. Even if they said the right things, does it fucking change? No, it still happened to you. The shit was still real, which means if you're waiting for any of that, if you're waiting for an apology, if you're waiting for acknowledgement, if you're waiting for the accountability that would finally let you move forward, you're waiting for something that's not coming. And the life you should be building is waiting with you. Get the fuck over it. Get the fuck over it. And I mean that with every ounce of love that I have. Get over it, because it did not matter. Because you, right now in this human experience, exactly where you are, you matter more than your reasons for not moving. Who you are on the other side of this matters more than who you were yesterday. Who you are going to be tomorrow is the fucking gift. And this is the thing about blame that the systems absolutely love. A population that is assigning responsibility for the situation to external forces is a population that is not building anything threatening to the structure. We can't stand up against the fucking machine. Not if we're blaming them. You're just complaining about it. We're not doing anything to build it and tear it down, and the structure can survive complaints indefinitely. They love it. The corrupt government, the pharmaceutical machine, the food industry, the tech platforms, they have all built the same thing into their design, intentionally, with lots of studies. A narrative that says the problems are too big, too systemic, too entrenched for individual action to matter. That the individual is powerless against the scale of what is wrong. That the only appropriate response is outrage or despair or numbness or the next product that will make the feeling stop for a while. And that narrative is the most powerful thing they own right now. It's very valuable to them because a population, that's us, we the people. If we believe that we are powerless as a population, we're not going to organize. We're not going to build alternatives. We're not going to say fuck you to the elites that are eating our babies. Then you're just going to give up the voting, right? You're going to say fuck voting for my policies. What's the point? Look at this trash. We're going to stop voting at the right to change things at a city and state level where actual change happens. We don't start the businesses. We don't build the platforms. We don't tell the stories that shift the culture. The powerlessness narrative keeps you consuming instead of creating. It keeps you complaining instead of building. And blaming the system instead of becoming the person the system cannot touch. I vote. I pay attention to what is happening at every level. I care about the policies that affect the people in my community. I pray for my leaders. I pray for my president because scripture tells me to and because I believe it matters. And I also take full ownership of my lane because the most effective thing I can do for the culture is build something in my lane that is real, that is grounded, that is genuinely useful so that the people who find it become more of the people the culture needs. I need you listening to this show. I need you taking action. I need you to share it out. Then I need you to start your own. That's the rebellion. This is the season. It's not the rage that's going to get us anywhere. Watch the people on the internet throwing tantrums. They're only viral because everybody likes a show. Rage isn't going to get us anywhere. Giving up isn't going to get us anywhere. This is the building, and we cannot build if we're blaming everybody else. And there's a version of me that had a very long list of legitimate reasons for not being where I was supposed to be. You know, you guys know I went through the woo space chapter. I've talked about it. The years of building in the wrong direction, the embarrassment I suffered from that. I had reasons, good ones. And someone I trusted pointed me wrong. The information I was given was misleading. The environment I was in normalized what should have not been normal. And all of that was true. All of that was true. And for a while, I used that excuse quietly without admitting I was using it. I used the legitimate wrongness of what had happened as a partial explanation for why I had not stepped into the next thing I was supposed to be building. I froze, you guys. I gave up. I stopped creating. I stopped showing up. And that's because the next thing I was supposed to build required me to be visible, to put my real self out, to say, here's who I am, and here's what I believe, and here's the mess, and here's the message. And the chapter I was embarrassed about made that visibility feel riskier. It was worse. The shame and the embarrassment. What if people found out? What if the past discredited the present? I left it all up. All of it's there. My history. My history. I don't clear my history. I don't clear the cache, bitch. I don't delete shit. It's there. The day I stopped using the excuses, the day I fully owned the chapter instead of partially hiding behind it, was the day the building actually started, because I could not create the authentic life from a hedged position. And the hedged position was a form of blame. Blaming the chapter for the hiding, blaming the past for the delay, giving the responsibility for my current inaction to something that had already ended. It was over. Your mess is your message. That is not just a tagline, it is the ownership principle. The chapter that feels like the reason you cannot is actually the material you're supposed to build from. But you cannot use it as a material while you're using it as an excuse. You have to pick one. Bitch, I picked the material and it worked. It worked. I just talked to a man on my interview show who spent 3 years blaming his industry for the fact that his business wasn't growing. It was the industry's fault because the industry was saturated, he said. The market was oversupplied. The conditions were unfavorable. And I mean, he had a very thorough, well-researched, entirely accurate analysis of why his industry was difficult. It was there. And he was in the same place at year 3 as he was year 1. The shift happened when someone asked him a question, not what is wrong with the industry. It's what are you specifically doing that no one else in the industry is doing? He couldn't answer that question because he had been so focused on the external problem that he had not developed the internal differentiator. He went and developed it, stopped analyzing the industry and started building something within it that was unmistakably his. Within a year, his business doubled. And it's not because the industry changed, actually got worse, but it's because he stopped waiting for it to. You guys understand the industry is not the problem. The ownership was the problem, and the ownership is the solution. How is it that 2 pizza places next to each other can be incredibly successful? 3 coffee shops in a row on a street, all incredibly successful? It's the same thing. The last thing I want to hear when I have my entrepreneur mamas come through here and they're like, man, the market's just pretty saturated. Yeah, but not by you. Your message, your story, your voice, that matters. That matters. That matters. If this episode is speaking to you, if you're the person who's been holding a list of legitimate reasons while the thing you're supposed to build is waiting for you, share this out with someone else you know who needs to hear it, okay? Maybe someone that's going to hold you accountable, the one who is brilliant and capable and stuck behind the explanation. They need this. You need this. Make sure you guys subscribe, leave a written review. It takes 3 minutes. It is the most direct act of ownership you can take for the show, okay? And if you don't want to share it and you don't want to leave a review, then you can go ahead and buy me a cup of tea at listenbitchdonations.com. Okay. And listen, Jesus is the model for me, right? It is the truest frame I have for what ownership actually is at the deepest level. And ownership is not self-reliance. And that's important to know. Because when I say take responsibility for your life, I'm not saying figure it out alone. Trust only yourself, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and earn your way to the life you want. That is not what I'm saying. That is the prosperity gospel talking, and the prosperity gospel is not the gospel. What I'm saying is this: God gave you the life. He gave you the calling. He gave you the gifts. He gave you this beautiful, specific story, the particular combination of wounds that hurt and the wisdom of overcoming that and the experience of what you went through that makes your voice the one that certain people need. Your voice is going to reach people mine never could. But the thing is, he gives you all that, but he can't live it for you. That life requires your participation. That calling requires your obedience, your stewardship. The gifts require your deployment. And standing in the explanation of why the deployment has been delayed, even if the explanation is accurate, even if the reasons are real, it is not stewardship. You're just delaying it. Jesus said to the man at the pool of Bethesda, the man who had been there for 38 years, who had a very good reason for not being healed, who could explain in detail why his situation was what it was. Jesus did not validate the explanation. He asked, "Do you want to be well?" And then he said, "Get up, pick up your mat, and walk." He didn't wait for the conditions to improve. He didn't say, why don't you get up when someone helps you in the pool first? He said, "Get up now, pick up the thing you've been lying next to, and walk." That is ownership in the language of Christ. And it's available to you right now in this moment, not when the circumstances change. It's available now. Get up, pick up your mat, walk. This week, I want you to do one thing. Not 100 things, not 10 things, not 5 things. I want you to do one thing that is genuinely uncomfortable. I want you to write down the 3 biggest reasons your life is not where it is supposed to be. The real reasons, the ones you actually use when you're being honest with yourself in the quiet moments. And then I want you to rewrite each one as a question. Bitch, we are not justifying shit. I want you just to write it as a question. The economy is hard becomes, what can I build that works within a hard economy? The timing is not right becomes, what is the smallest version of the thing I can start right now with what I have? The past shaped me in ways that make this harder becomes, what specific thing from my past am I using as a current excuse, and what could I do today if that excuse did not exist? That rewrite is the ownership. The question is where the brain re-engages, and the brain that re-engages with the problem instead of delegating it to the explanation is the brain that finds the move. Find the move. Make it today. Be better today than you were yesterday. That's it. I want to tell you what I think is actually happening when you read the explanation instead of taking the ownership. And I'm saying this because I genuinely care about you. I've given a shit about your potential longer than you've ever even thought about it. I'm genuinely tired of watching potential wasted in the fucking blame zone. You're scared. That's it. The explanations are real, but they're also the packaging that the fear puts on itself so it does not have to be called fear. The economy is real, yeah, but it's also a very convenient reason to not try something that may not work. Past is real, yeah, but it is also a very understandable reason to not step into the visibility that the calling requires. The timing is never right, and that is also a very reliable way to never have to find out what happens when you try. The fear is understandable. I have it too. Bitch, I told you guys, every time I go to record, it's scary. Every time I press a live, it's scary. Every time I get on an interview, it's scary. I be brave and do the damn thing anyway. It's understandable, but the fear does not get to drive. Not in your lane, not in your calling, not in this God-given, irreplaceable life that is yours and only yours to build and nobody else's. I genuinely believe you have something the world needs. Nobody's paying me to say this shit, okay? Like, that's it. I'm just pouring out my heart to you. I genuinely believe you have something the world needs. Not in a feel-good way, but the specific, literal, there is someone out there that fucking needs you right now kind of way. Like, they need your story, they need your mess, they need your voice. And that combination of your experience and your perspective and your hard-won wisdom that only your life could have produced, and it's sitting behind the explanation. It's sitting behind your excuses, waiting for you to own it. Pick it up. The world is waiting. Better today than yesterday. Better tomorrow than today. One move, one step, one thing at a time right now. You guys, make sure you check the show notes. Come work with me. I dare you to come tell me what makes you special, or tell me what you've been blaming for the delay. Tell me the thing. What's the actual thing? Maybe we can work together and get that built.